Perfect. Hello. So welcome to talking about difficult people today. Now, no one in this class is difficult, thankfully. So that's helpful. But we will have you to read and do things like that, and we'll talk about personal experiences and everything that goes with dealing with difficult people. I mean, we deal with difficult people every day. I deal with difficult people when I walk outside my door because there's different cultures don't always mix. I have to tell you this story. It happened last Wednesday. I went to the supermarket, grocery store, whatever. And there was a young girl. My husband was putting in his PIN for his, credit card and to pay for the food. And the girl, she wasn't a woman and she wasn't super young either. She's sitting there like this and looking right at the numbers where my husband was pushing the buttons for his PIN for his credit card. And I was like, hello, we don't do that. And so because how do you say it? I'm a very determined person. And so if I don't like something, you're probably going to know it. And so I just nicely said in Spanish, I said, normally you don't look at the PIN number. That was it. Turned around, walked away, took the groceries, and we continued on our way. I thought that was perfectly acceptable because no one in their right mind looks at the numbers out of respect. And that happens when you go to a grocery store, a restaurant. They normally give you, here in Spain, they have their credit card machines separate. So they'll give it to you, you put in your numbers, and they look away like this. Very respectable. And because she was looking directly at the numbers, it really upset me because I don't know if they're trying to steal the credit card number, then the PIN, because I hate to discriminate, but the mother looked like she should be working on a corner, which is not really appropriate for this class. I normally don't say these things, but I was highly upset. And so anyway, my husband and I were walking home, and all of a sudden he hears this woman, the mom, calling his name. And she said, hey, you shouldn't yell at a 13-year-old. That's not polite, and things. And I was like, you're being less polite than I was because you're yelling at us in the middle of the street. You're the one that's causing attention. Because I very quietly said, you shouldn't look at the PIN number. That's all. So anyway, I was quite upset. But this is like, come on, that was a super difficult situation. I was upset for a while after because it just didn't make sense. There's no one single person in the world that probably thinks it's okay to look at somebody's PIN number when they're putting it in to a credit card machine. Hello. So anyway, that was last week. So if you think I'm wrong, you're wrong. But I mean, come on, what do we think about that situation? It's completely impolite. It's completely incorrect to do that, right? What do we think? Or am I just crazy? Ken, do you have anything to say? Save me here.
Yeah, I think, how can I say it? Yeah, some people, just blame the people for reduce their frustration. So, it's hard to be a target for them, and also they are not rational. You know,
Yeah.
the purpose of that is just reduce their frustration.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe to be rational, to be maybe observe the situation, to be emotional, not to be emotional, because emotion and emotion clash. It's
Right.
very difficult actually. Also, doesn't solve the problem. So
Exactly. That's what I'm like. That was the frustrating part because for me, the situation had passed. It was done. It was just ridiculous. But then she comes back at us, and I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be like the longest walk home. Thankfully, they walked into a building that was not very far away, but I just thought it was ridiculous on her end to defend her daughter for looking at the numbers. Like I said, nowadays people are stealing a lot more because the economy here in Spain still isn't great, still not a lot of jobs. And so I don't know, like if the daughter looks at the PIN number, the mom goes and steals my husband's wallet, there you go. You have access to all of his money. That's not safe,
yeah,
appropriate. There's so many things that are like red flag. So, like I said, the whole reason that got solved because they walked into their building. thankfully. If not, I probably would have felt like punching her in the face, which I'm not a violent person, but her daughter did something wrong. The end of the story, I hope the daughter learned you don't do that. You just don't. So anyway, any other final comments, Ken or Rafa, about this situation? It was terrible.
I've undergone a similar situation, but nowadays I'm used to cover with my both hands while I type the number. Maybe because normally the machines are wireless, so all I have to do is to turn up on the other side so no one can see. Of course, but
Yeah.
it is not. But it depends on the situation and exactly how is the layout of the supermarket. So
No, I do
I,
agree with that.
I normally call it with my both hands, the keys, so no one is able to see it.
Well, normally my husband. uh, thanks, Rafa. Normally, when my husband, takes out money or something, he covers it with his hand, too. But at the same time, he didn't this time. And at first, I thought it was quite strange because these two girls or women, whatever, females, were really close to the machine. And normally, when someone walks over to the credit card machine, you move back out of respect. I mean, that's part of that too. And so the fact that the mom didn't even have respect enough to tell the daughter to move away, and then the daughter was looking at the numbers, like, I don't know. So, but yeah, normally we'd cover. And this credit card machine is attached to the area because it's a supermarket. So it was a little different, but I was super frustrated. I just, when something's wrong, it's wrong. I don't think there's one person in the world that would say that what the mom did was correct or what the daughter did was correct. So I don't feel bad for explaining this story, but it was a really difficult situation because people like that, I mean, I know she's defending her daughter, but at the same time, I'm defending my husband. I don't think either one of us is more right in that way because obviously a daughter and a husband are both important, but it was just frustrating. So I'm glad that they lived near the supermarket. And that was the end of that. So with that, let's take a look at some other difficult situations here. Give me a second and I will find the correct one. So, how to deal with difficult people. All right, so I have some grammar kind of put in here, phrases, I should say. So, we're going to be talking about some of those too along the way. So, I just want to say at the beginning, working with people who aren't on the same page as you can be challenging. Today, we're going to help you deal with those difficult ones. So in my situation, like I said, it kind of ended by itself because they went home. But when I say aren't on the same page, what do I want to mean? This is an expression in English, to be on the same page as someone. Can you explain what this means? Anyone?
Maybe same value or same attitude or.
Okay, sure, yeah. Rafa, do you have anything else to add?
The same way of thinking, same perspective of things.
Mm-hmm. Good. Definitely both of what you both said. To be on the same page as someone is to basically to understand the same situation as them. Maybe it could be even in a relationship if, one person is thinking about getting married, the other person is absolutely not thinking about getting married. You are not on the same page. So people who don't think the same as you or don't maybe work as you do, if it's an ethical thing or there's a lot of different ways that people could be on the same page as you or not. So we just want to talk about the ones that are not on the same page as you. And so in the workplace, there are many factors that make your job stressful, and people are one of the many factors. What are other factors that could make your job stressful? Anything else? Why is work stressful? Yes, Ken?
Maybe a lot of tasks also, we have to, sometimes we have to work with the person who are at the same page. So, maybe, so usually workplace or stress come from, the tasks, the heavy tasks of the work, also relationship, between among other people.
Absolutely, very good.
In the life actually. So that's
there's a lot of things.
that's one big theme, for living.
Absolutely. Rafa, do you have anything else to add?
I don't think I have much to add because certainly people represents the most terrible factor which makes our job stressful, and maybe the workloads, or maybe the amount of
the tasks. Exactly.
tasks, and there are a lot of things that makes our work stressful.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And I would also even go to say the pressure. I mean, not just the workload and the tasks that you have to do, but the pressure. Again, that also comes from maybe your boss or another person or a different company or whatever. But that pressure is really stressful. It's like, I have to get this done by this time tomorrow. And then you have to stay up late, and then you don't sleep well, and then the next day you're not 100%. And so there's a lot of different things. Also, your personal life can affect your work life as well. If again, you have young children or older children and you didn't sleep well the night before, maybe someone in your family is ill. There's so many different factors in life, not just at work, but that can affect you. Okay. So, Ken, I'll have you read this next little part here, okay?
Okay. You can improve not only your work environment, but the environment for everyone. So how can we get started?
Good. All right. So again, not only your work environment, but everyone's work environment. Okay. We need to make life a little bit easier for everyone. So the first one I have here is to be strong. Now, these are a little bit long, but Rafa, why don't you go ahead and read this for us, okay?
Okay. Don't let people treat you poorly or damage your reputation at work. If someone is just plain annoying, it's a lot easier to communicate with them about the situation. You should sit down and speak face to face. If you can't solve it on your own, then go to a manager to help you out.
Okay, good. So exactly. People aren't going to treat you very good. But if they actually damage your reputation, then there could be a problem because it won't only affect your current job, but future jobs. Okay. However, someone is just annoying you because of their actions or whatever. Maybe they tap, they do this all day, or they sing, or they're on the phone with their friends, something like that. It's a little bit different. So it completely depends on the situation and your reaction. Okay. So Ken, get ready because you're going to read this next part. Oh.
Okay. If the person is a bully or even trying to destroy your credibility, things will be more difficult. There is probably a motive and behind their insult and negative comment. Speak to the person and try to find out why they are doing this. Again, if you can't work it out yourselves, speak to someone in a higher position.
Exactly. So again, if someone's just being a bully versus someone who's trying to ruin your career for the rest of your life, you need to take things to a different matter. And of course, it's important to talk to someone who's in a higher position because they will be able to help you. Excuse me. Any comments or any questions about this? Do you have any experience with this? I don't, thankfully. But any experiences? No? Nothing you want to share anyway?
I don't know. I cannot say. Yeah, it's difficult to deal with this situation, and to know their more motive also important. But as I said, some people maybe might have their reason, but the target of bullying is not fair. Also, maybe it's difficult to solve because if you feel to be destroyed, maybe definitely to say someone or somebody to help or to counsel. Always, I heard some episode from my friends, this kind of thing. Yeah, and it was actually the worker claimed to the president, directly about the
Oh,
clawback
wow.
because many workers had a problem of that bullying thing. So
Wow.
sometimes it works, but it's case by case. It's a difficult.
Exactly. No, I agree with that too. Rafa, do you have any comments for us about this topic?
I don't
No.
know. I think I don't have a good perception for when someone's trying to insult me and make some negative comments about me because when I'm at work, I'm so focused into my job and what I have to do. I don't I'm not too much keen on receiving what's going
Mm-hmm.
to surround me. I believe it's one of my biggest flaws because it is difficult to understand the environment. I don't know. It is so far. Luckily, I I haven't had to deal with a situation like this, at least from my understanding. Luckily,
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, I have kind of the same situation. I mean, I haven't been in one of these situations. And if was, I think it's when we're younger, when you go to middle school and high school and people make fun of you and tease you and talk badly about someone. I think it's more of those moments. And I'm sure, I mean, I've worked with a lot of people in a lot of different situations. I can't really think of anyone ever trying to be mean to me or insult me or anything like that. If they did, I don't know. I probably just ignored them. I tend to ignore a lot of things that bother me, I guess, or at least I don't remember them. So yeah, I've been pretty lucky too, but I've worked with a lot of idiots. I mean, we all have, right? It's just, but you don't always say that. So, I think part of it too is that everyone thinks they're doing the best thing they can or they have the best ideas and so they do it when you personally have maybe a different idea and think, oh, it'd be easier to do this or you should do this. And so then you think, well, maybe they're not smart, but it's just because they think differently. I think differently than my husband. My mom thinks differently than my dad does. That's why she wants to talk about retirement stuff with him because he thinks of different questions. And so you kind of need to just help them out. Don't think negatively about them, but just try and help. So there's a lot of things here. We just have to be open-minded. And I think that's one of the most difficult things because a lot of people just think, I know everything. I'm the best. I have the best, blah, blah, blah. So just be open minded and try to help others. All right. So don't stop until the problem gets solved. Otherwise, you won't feel comfortable at work and that could affect your performance. So by affecting your performance, that's working. Okay. Like Ken said, the friend that was had medical leave because of depression, because of a coworker, good. Because if you are not mentally ready to work and, attack the day, because you all have to enter work as, okay, going to be a lot of work today, but we can do this. And if you don't have that attitude, you're not going to be able to work properly. You might even get fired because of it. So best to be honest in these situations. Okay. So let's see. Who had read this? Ken, you read this part, right? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So with ignore them, it's going to be Rafa, okay?
Okay. If you work with someone who is always negative, a negative Nancy, don't pay attention to this person. Nothing they say will help you in any way, shape, or form. By avoiding this person, you might be able to concentrate more on your work and not feel so down when you know you're going to see them in the office.
All right, good. So ignore them, basically. So I have this underline in the negative Nancy underline. I think we might have spoken about this before, but what does this phrase mean? To be a negative Nancy?
Maybe the person who always say a negative comment or negative reaction reply.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's perfect. It's someone who's always negative about things. So it's yep, they don't really think positive about anything. Okay. There's another phrase in here. They will help you in any way, shape, or form. This is also kind of an expression, so I'll underline that too. I wasn't really sure because it kind of makes sense alone, but it is also a phrase. So what about someone who will help you in any way, shape, or form? Do you have any idea what that could mean?
By any circumstance, by any perspective, this they will help you. So it is not that you want to extract any kind of help.
Mm-hmm. Okay, exactly. They'll do absolutely anything for you. It doesn't matter how, when, why, whatever. They will do anything, right? Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm lost here. Who is Nancy?
Nancy is just a figure of speech. Nancy doesn't really exist. It's just because it's a negative Nancy. It's just because it rhymes.
Okay.
It's to be a negative Nancy. There's really not a real person. To be a negative Nancy. It's a phrase. So just to be someone who's negative. I'm trying to think of a negative in like an N name for a boy. Negative Norbert just doesn't sound very good. No, it's just a phrase. It's like when we say for Pete's sake, for example, who's Pete? Like really, and I forgot the S on Pete's. Do you understand that phrase, Rafa?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, for Pete. Hold on, Pete's sake. If you don't understand it, I would definitely translate it into Portuguese. Or Ken, do you have any idea? It's really hard to explain this. For Pete's sake, like when you're frustrated, like, come on, something for Pete's sake, something like that. It's yeah, I don't know. I'd say go translate that one. Does that make sense about the negative Nancy though?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, Ken. Oh, confronting the person. Okay.
Okay. Confronting the person. If you have no option but to confront someone, talk to them directly. You should be confident. Confronting a coworker is important as you might have to do it for a number of reasons: missing a deadline, arriving late, not contributing to a group project, etc.
All right. So confront, or as I have written here, talk to them directly. It's literally going to them and saying, hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you hand in your paperwork on time? Why did you disappear when we were working as a group? Why are you late every Friday morning? Okay. Oops. Things like that. And so you have to confront them. It's a very strong word, and no one likes to confront. Well, normally people don't like to confront people. It's a very awkward situation for everyone because you're basically saying, hey, what's going on and why? But you should also be confident when you do it because you want them to confess, to tell you why they're doing something or why something is happening. Okay. You arrive late Friday mornings. Well, maybe you went out Thursday night and you're tired or something. Or maybe you're checking on your mom's cat every Friday morning, so you're late. It depends. So confronting the person is important, especially to we also say to put your foot down. To put your foot down. And this one I know we've spoken about before. Ken, could you explain this? To put your foot down.
To put your foot down. I don't know. To confront?
Well, it's not just confront, but also, do you know what to put your foot down means?
I don't say to state your position and stick to it.
Okay. There's also one, it's called stand your ground. Oops, why is it there? Stand your ground. Basically, don't let people take advantage of you. You stop. When you literally put your foot down, you're saying, stop, listen to me. This is enough. You're standing your ground as well. You're defending yourself. So, the person who's asking the person who's doing all of these things or this one thing needs to put their foot down and say, okay, that's enough. Let's literally talk about this. What's going on? And the other person also has to basically stay on their ground and put their foot down and say, hey, look, I'm taking care of my mom. She's ill. That's why I'm late every Friday. Okay, fine. Great. That's fine. No problem. It really depends on the situation. So you just need to talk openly about it because you never know. I mean, we all go through difficult times of our lives. Maybe you're going through a great period in your life and someone else who works next to you is suffering in every aspect. Maybe they're getting a divorce or they have a newborn child at home. I don't know, maybe they're new and they just changed jobs and they're learning, and so there's so many different things that could happen. Maybe there was a death in the family or friend, you just never know what someone else is going through. And so we, again, need to be open-minded. Okay. All right. So after that, let's continue down here. Rafa? Oops. Rafa, it's your turn, right?
I don't know.
Hold on, let's look at the last part. That's the confront. Yep, Ken read this.
Okay.
Sometimes just by looking at it, and you can think, who read this? Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Before you talk to the individual, you should think about what you're going to say. We all know it is important to choose the correct words, otherwise things could go south. Keeping your calm is going to be another key factor. We don't want anyone to raise their voice either.
All right, good. So, as you can see, go south is underlined here. It's another phrase we can talk about. Any idea what this could mean?
To go bad, to become worse.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why it's go south, but that's the expression. Is go south is when things go bad. So good. So basically in this paragraph, it's think about what you're going to say. Because in my example from before, from the beginning of class, if I would have told the girl, hey, you shouldn't ever look at someone's PIN number, that's disrespectful, and I said it very loud, of course, that would not be good. But in my opinion, I said it correctly and nicely, and I didn't yell. I bet her mom didn't even hear what I said. I said it so quiet. So it depends on how you approach the situation. Don't get out of control, going crazy, because however you are, the other person is going to get to that level. If you're calm, they will be calm. If you're, starting to go crazy, they'll start doing the same. They'll raise their voice, they might insult. So there's a lot of different things. So just be calm and see what happens. And if they get out of hand or if things go south, then you don't look like the bad one. They didn't react appropriately. Questions or comments? Nothing?
No.
Okay. Good. All right. So Ken, we'll have you read this next part about dealing with bad habits.
Okay. Dealing with bad habits. Does one or more of your coworkers have bad habits that you can't stand? This could include something as simple as chewing gum loudly or even having a personal hygiene problem such as smelling bad. By speaking to them politely, you won't be embarrassed then about the situation. Think about how you would feel if you were them. Doesn't you feel uncomfortable too? It might make them feel better.
Okay. So, bad habits. Now, as it says here, there's a couple different ways. As it says, the chewing gum, like I said before, tapping of the pen. But if there's a personal hygiene problem and they maybe sweat a lot and they smell bad, maybe the air conditioning doesn't work for a period of time, people can really suffer. So we really need to be careful about this situation because it is quite serious. Someone has a habit, it's not easy to break those habits. What do you think about this? Do you think it's important to kind of put yourself in their shoes?
I believe it's relative, depending on several factors. I don't think would be close to someone who smells bad would be a good hygiene factor, and I don't
And that's
know. Maybe just by letting the person acknowledge by herself, uh,
that doesn't always happen.
because sooner or later this person will recognize he or she was not smelling so good. So because people will start getting away from them, and they maybe if they don't denote this. I believe that some way somehow this person will understand that, and this person will recognize that he has to do something in order to change that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, but I think people don't always recognize that they smell bad because, maybe if you go for a run or you do exercise, you can imagine, okay, I probably don't smell great right now. But if you take a shower, you go to work, and maybe you're sweating on the way to work, but you don't really think much of it. Maybe you don't realize that you smell bad because literally some people I don't think know it. But it's a huge problem. It goes both ways. For example, here in Spain, people love to wear a lot of perfume. Love to wear a lot of perfume. So it kind of happens both ways. You can get someone who smells really bad, or you can get someone who smells nice, but it's overwhelming, like you can't breathe. So neither situation is technically correct. It's difficult because it's a habit. They like to spray the perfume all over their body, probably. Great, fine, wonderful. But if you're in a small area or an enclosed area where there's no ventilation or no wind or no moving air, there could be a potential problem. This also happens for, it could be a potential problem for allergies or people who are just sensitive. Apparently I have a lot of sensitivities and my skin and I don't know, smelling things. I have a very sensitive nose. And so it really could bother me. And that way you're concentrating on that. How can you get rid of that smell? What can you do to change the situation in which that takes time away from work? So again, it affects your performance, as we mentioned before. Any other, do you have any stories or any situations or anything like that related to this?
I have some problems with perfume because it makes me headaches, and but sometimes when I went to the movies, I sit next to someone who was, exhaling a lot of perfume, and it was a very painful situation. And
It is.
literally, it was a painful situation because I spent a lot of time with headaches because of that.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I've heard that they said it could be illegal, when I don't remember when this was, but years ago they were saying that they were going to eliminate perfumes, but it's like, there's extremes to everything. I don't think we need to be extreme. We just need to moderate, our use of perfume maybe, or whatever, but it's a huge problem. I know here in Spain, and I don't know why people bathe, they take a showers in their perfume. So anyway, Ken, do you have anything to add to this part?
Oh, yeah, that's difficult, very sensitive problem. So I don't know how, but I have one grammatical question.
Okay.
Not this part, but the first part. Uh,
Do you want me to go to the top?
Yeah, started and get started.
Okay.
Yeah, today we got it with maybe can started and get started different.
I don't think there really is a difference. Get started. How can we get started? How can we start? Yeah, no, to get started is basically the same as how can we start? How can we get started? I would think because the word get actually we use in the process form of a lot of things. So I think this is just the part of how do we get started? How do we start the process of learning about how to improve your work environment and others?
Okay. So not so many difference. So much
No.
difference.
No, there's really not. The only, because we're looking for the difference, the only difference I can find is with get, it's more of a process. How can we start? Would basically be the same idea, but to get started is a little bit different. And I'm starting to use, there were some other things. Sit down, get help your own minute. Oh yeah, help you out, to help out. Okay. That's just, you should get a manager to help. So little by little, I want to add these kind of more, these are phrasal verbs. That's what we use a lot. And so if I wanted to speak a little bit simpler, I'd say then go to manager for help, maybe. But I've put to help you out. There's some other ones in here that I've added. Again, work it out. If you can't deal with it yourselves, the two employees, work it out. Problems get solved to get solved. It affect your performance. No, I'm trying to do these things. I'm trying to think. There was another one that I had seen before, but your ground. Well, anyway, yes. Basically. Anyway, yes. Rafa, do you have any questions about phrases or grammar until this point?
No, I think we have clarified all of them.
Okay. No, that's fine. It's just to, if you have any questions. And again, I'm adding these kind of phrases in here so we can talk about them, so you can see them in a normal situation, that you can hopefully understand what it means just by the situation and the context of the sentence, the paragraph, etc. I don't expect you to use these. I just expect you to understand these. And my mom did this when I was younger with we say big words in English is maybe they're not common words, they're just different, but she would do it a lot. And I think it actually really has helped my Spanish. So thanks, Mom. So this one we had read. Okay, having a difficult boss. Actually, I'll just move this down to the next page. This is the last part anyway. So having a difficult boss. I do not have a difficult boss, actually. I don't think I ever really have, but anyway, let's see. I think Rafa, to make them feel better. Rafa, is it your turn?
I don't know.
Well, why don't you read?
Okay. We all have had difficult bosses, right? Bosses have such an important influence on your work because they can add even more pressure to our workload and make us feel uncomfortable or even incompetent.
Incompetent. Yep, that's a difficult word. Do we have any idea what this word could mean? Incompetent.
I don't say irresponsible, but incapable of doing something.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Ken, have you seen this word before? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I think yeah, incapable, or yeah, also maybe yeah, such things.
Okay, perfect. Yes, incompetent basically means that you're not able to do something like a task or something like that. So this could be the part of where people insult you, for example, but it's really this pressure. I really think it's the pressure. Like, oh, if you can't finish this by tomorrow, then you're stupid or something like that. So they're insulting you and they're like, but you have 10,000 other things to do. So it's that pressure. Okay, so let's move down. And then Ken, I'll have you read this next part. Now, why don't you read this and then we'll talk about why this Word document thinks that this is incorrect. Okay, go ahead.
There are many reasons for a boss not being good. It might not be their fault due to being promoted too quickly, or they might not even understand their behavior is inappropriate or making you feel uncomfortable.
Okay, so let's first talk about this little grammar thing. It wants me to use the word feels. Feels uncomfortable is definitely not correct. So I think it's because the subject at the very beginning of the sentence is it. So feels with an S would be correct. But let's try something here. Quickly. There you go. See, now I fixed it. Anyway, that's the end of that story. But what do we feel about this?
English sometimes it's good. Subject is far away from the verb. Oh.
Right? I mean, come on. And there's you right next to it. You feel uncomfortable. No, it's driving me crazy earlier. So your boss, why your boss might not be a good boss because of many things. And part of that might be because they were promoted too early. Maybe they didn't have enough experience. Maybe they didn't have enough whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm the boss. I tell everyone what to do. And they get this, we call it a big head. We really say that. They get a big head. And I'm writing this in the chat box in Google Hangouts. So they get a big head and they're like, oh yeah, I'm the best of the best of the best. And I can tell everyone what to do because I'm the boss. No, that's not a really good attitude. And that's when problems start to happen. And also, maybe they just don't understand that it's inappropriate. What was I watching? There was something I was watching yesterday. And due to the context, it was like not appropriate, but the situation continued to happen. And it's like, well, wait a second. This is not, you're not with friends, you're in a work situation, something like that. It just completely depends. So do you have any experience with this? I mean, maybe someone who doesn't have enough experience? Well, maybe I can explain. I had one.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I was working at a restaurant. I was in my 20s, and then they had this other girl come over and be a manager. I can't remember if she worked at the other restaurant because there were two restaurants with the same name. It was a little chain. I can't remember if she worked there. I think she didn't. She moved to my restaurant. Turns out she was younger than me and she was a manager. And I was like, wait a second. And she got a big head and she would like boss people around and just wasn't appropriate. So it was frustrating sometimes because I had been there a lot, like years longer than her. And then she comes and, yeah, I know everything. And I was like, wait a second. Let me explain to you this situation. So I guess I have had this situation. Not fun. Ken, did you want to say something?
Yeah, because it's complicated because it has a kind of hierarchy related. So also nobody's perfect. If the boss claims something, yeah, he or she can find anything maybe something to criticize. And also maybe they have some problem to suffer from the inferior complex or maybe some other things to control everything.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I heard one thing is, if you cannot avoid that, such criticism, maybe you know you cannot receive every comment, every criticism from
Mm-hmm.
from she or he, because you know you can get the proper criticism only. That's maybe one attitude for this. Probably.
Constructive criticism.
Kind of, yeah. Yes, kind
Constructive
of.
criticism. Oh, it's really difficult to spell some of these words sometimes. Okay, constructive criticism. Exactly. Yeah, and again, it's the way that you say it. He's like, don't do that. That's not the right way. You say, oh, hey, I didn't think we were supposed to do it that way. I think this way might be better. Again, tone, attitude, words, things like that. So Rafa, why don't you go ahead and read this last paragraph then, right? Because Ken, you read this one. Oops.
You should go to your boss and talk it out. Being able to discuss the situation would be beneficial for both of you. Also, your boss might respect you more, knowing it's not an easy situation to handle.
Okay, good. So talk it out basically just means to discuss. All right, just a different way. This is a good thing for an exam if you're going to write the word discuss, explain, talk about, talk it out is really discuss and find the solution. Okay, so yeah, talk to your boss. Maybe you'll get more respect anyway after you talk to your boss. And I just saw here, we have here gossip. So Ken, why don't you go ahead and read gossip, please?
Gossip. Another difficult topic at work is gossip. It's everywhere. It's really difficult when upper management completely ignores gossip in the office, but it's worse when they join in on the action. This can really affect the morale of the office and the coworkers. In order to change this, it needs to be spoken about.
Good. So join in on the action is that they're actually participating when the manager, the boss is participating in this gossip situation, which is not correct either. So again, at the end of all of these, it's basically just go talk to that person, figure it out, be open-minded, be calm, speak correctly, and that's it. So if you ever feel uncomfortable at work, you must tell someone about it as the end of the story. That's the end here. But I want to ask, do you have any questions? Any other questions about this last paragraph?
No, from me.
All right. Rafa, anything?
No, that's okay.
Okay, good. Well, let's stop screen sharing here for a second, and I'm just going to double check my next class situation, and my camera is going super slow. Oh yes, we'll be talking about collocations. Can you see me? No?
I
No.
See black. Turn
No.
camera off, and then what if I turn the camera on again? Maybe I'm just going to be in the dark today. I don't know.
you
Um,
are Thomas now.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, never mind. Yeah, now I see you.
Oh, hi. Okay, good. Oh, my hair looks terrible. So yes. So be happy, have fun, and Wednesday's collocation. So good luck. It's a real native situation. We'll probably need like 10,000 classes about collocations. So bring your notebook for next class because you'll definitely want to write some things down for that. So with that, I'm off to the pool. Everyone have a great day. Okay. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.